TJ, was that a Lions home game you were at yesterday? Pretty close?
Home game, at 50-50, yeah. So I guess anytime you go on the road and have
50-50, yeah.
Crowd, then it probably feels like a home game.
Because it looked and it sounded.
No, it did. And I know we talked about it, but I finally asked Coach yesterday. I'm like, you can't. He's got this way of galvanizing the group. When we go on the road, it's just us, our backs against the wall, us versus everybody. And I'm like, Coach, you can't really use that anymore, can you? He started giggling. He's like, man, I can't. It's incredible. Like, it is. You go out there and we're hearing the, Jared Goff chants, and it's like, my good, like, you know what I mean? So the fans are, and I love what Jared Goff said. Like, the fans don't go to the game just to spectate. Like, they go to affect the game. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. They want to be a participant.
Yeah, they go to be a part of that game. And it's been incredible, really, the last 2.5 years now, of watching these fans travel. You could tell Saturday night, just walking around town, grabbing some dinner. I mean, it felt like you were in downtown Detroit. That's what it felt like. So, and I know it makes a difference. I know that I don't know if the fans, they really understand sometimes the impact that they can have. But, John, you and I both know you go into enemy territory and you got a lot of your friends on your side, man. It really does make a big difference.
Normally, you only have this little postage stamp up in the rafters, of home section, or of your home fans. But now, when the Lions take the field, what is it? Texas A&M, the home of the 12th man. Seattle, we hear about it, but they don't travel and they're not as involved on the road as a Lions fan. The Lions have the 12th man every single week, home or away.
Yeah. And there's been some games. I think I told you guys maybe a couple weeks ago. Houston and Minnesota late in that game when the Lions need to make a play. I was down in the, walking, get ready for the post game, and you hear this loud roar, and you're like, oh my gosh, did we throw a pick? Oh, what happened? And then all of a sudden you realize the line, Amon-Ra, converted a third down or something. You're like, oh my God.
It's all Lions fans cheering.
It's all Lions fans cheering in away stadiums. It is, and Coach said it's demoralizing. It really is. When you're a home team and watching the Rams game last night, I mean, their offense having to go on silent count. You know how embarrassing that is for a home team to do? You know what I mean? The Rams, I don't know if you guys watched the whole game. The Rams O-line was getting torched by Philly's D-line, and a big part of that was because they're going silent count. Your tackles have to look into the ball, and by the time you're coming up, Brandon Graham's already in my face.
At home.
At home. That's demoralizing, and that's what everybody's kind of done that in L.A., but I think the Lions have done that
everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere that the Lions have played, and it's incredibly impressive.
Think about it. You're a Colts fan. Team's 5-6. Someone's willing to pay you 5 times what your ticket sells for. You're going to sell your ticket. It's Lions fans that are maniacal. They're crazy. They love going to these games, and they're making a difference.
Yeah.
Well, they don't want to
figure out what Lions fans do for a living, man.
Right, I know, I want to find that out, because no matter where they go, and here's the other thing. The Lions fans have always traveled, but last year and this year, they're obviously traveling for a special reason. And they don't want to miss a moment of what is a historic season. You mentioned it. The start of this season hasn't happened since 1934. Now, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's a Lions fan that was born in 34, maybe a year or two earlier. They probably don't remember that at all. But this is a brand new experience for Lions fans, for generations of Lions fans.
I mean, hey, we'll throw the call out. If you're 97 years old and you remember the 34 team, let us know.
Yeah. What's the similarity? Stoney, what are you doing?
248. We got a lot to talk about. The crowd's only part of it, TJ. Takeaways from the game.
Defense, I mean, it didn't, coming out of that game, it didn't feel like a dominant, like start to finish, we just crushed their soul in.
Well, coming off of Jacksonville, it's hard to replicate that.
I know that's really hard to do in the NFL, but it was just one of those ho-hum, punch the clock, go to work, okay, do what we got to do, let's get out of here and get ready for Thursday. That's kind of what it felt like.
Double-digit victory.
Yeah, I know, and it's crazy, and it didn't feel as, it didn't feel like you smoked the Colts, I guess, to say. I mean, the Colts made a lot of mistakes. They dropped the touchdown pass. They didn't help Anthony Richardson out a few times. They had some really key penalties on some big explosive plays that help you out, no doubt. But it just felt kind of like a punch the clock, do what we got to do to get out of here. You know what I mean?
And win by 18 points on the road, and it was not their best.
Offensively, I mean, did it probably feel like a B- type of game for them? Like,
did it feel like they were just trying to get out of there at some point too? As the injuries are mounting, and you just
maybe late in the second half, and clearly I think the coaches had that too when Carlton Davis didn't return. David Montgomery didn't return. When I asked about, I think Coach talked about it, he said, hey, we're not really concerned long-term with those guys. Maybe Khalif Raymond. They'll have to probably get some scans done today. He said that doesn't mean that those guys are going to play Thursday. But, I think you can kind of get the sense that Coach said, hey, we got some bigger games coming up. This one's pretty much we feel confident. Why don't we sit you guys out? Decker came out late in that game. He got rolled up on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week with the injury report. But, yeah,